Okay, ready to go. Call to order City of Forest Park Virtual Council Work Session, December 7, 2020. The first item on the agenda is that the items above the line would be the budget, followed by redevelopment incentive for Councilwoman Herbie.
All right. This was, the budget was a subject of a Ways and Means Committee meeting on November 23rd that most of the council attended. So this is familiar to you, but for the sake of any viewers that might be watching, I do want to point out that at that meeting, the city manager provided the committee with an overview of the budget and indicated that the current and next year's budgets will be affected by the pandemic, but nonetheless, the city will be able to maintain its current programs, and there will be no additions to the budget, but also no cuts. Next year's budget, 2021, will mirror this year's budget. The challenge is going to come in 2022. And then Finance Director Robinson addressed the revenue and expense assumptions. She indicated the city had been expecting 1.2 to 1.6 million deficit. That was before federal money began to flow into the cities as a result of COVID. That money has filled much of that gap and will help sustain us through 2021. But we haven't felt the effect of revenue reductions because of the impact on the economy by COVID. The city's probably expecting a 600 to 700,000 reduction in tax revenues as a result of that. We've also lost one of our third largest employers, but that will be offset by an incoming employer, but we're not reflecting that in the budget until we actually have that person physically in the city. She said that it mirrors the county estimate. Grants, including COVID funds, are reflected in an inflated carryover, but that money will be spent down as deadlines to spend that money occur, and funds are used to fill revenue gaps. And that, and then when she also addressed expense assumptions, she indicated that there will be 2 staff retirements next year. She also indicated that 3 planned hirings that had been in the current year's budget will continue to go unfilled. And assumptions about gas prices and insurance prices are on target. Transfers can be covered by our fund balances, and these are primarily in the Economic Development Fund and the Debt Service Fund. So if either one of them want to add any additional, either Andy, or not Andy, if Harlita wants to add to that, I would welcome her to do that.
Actually, you covered all the key points that were in the budget. If anyone has any questions, if you've had some time to review the budget summary, it did provide a lot of the key information as far as what positions we have filled. We are still in the process of spending a lot of the COVID dollars. As you know, there's a deadline of December 30th to spend that money. We used a lot of it to cover police salaries. A little over $500,000 was used to cover police salaries, which is how we stabilized the budget for 2020, and that should carry us through 2021.
Any questions from anybody? Anybody got anything to add? Mr. Jones, you got anything to add?
No, I'm glad, Andy, I asked Andy to handle this for me this evening, mainly because I just, it's kind of hard for me to talk sometimes. You know me, if I start talking, I can't hardly catch my breath anyway, let alone with a little bit of COVID in me. So Andy's going to be handling it for me, but I wanted to make sure that at least I showed you my face. I'm still around.
Hey, good. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Okay, the second item above the line is the redevelopment incentive agreement for Nair properties.
Okay. This refers to the Promenade Shopping Center area. Staff's been working on, for the past several months, on trying to do something to help convert this underperforming property to a community asset. If you'll remember, the FitWorks building that's on that property has been sold to Kid Coffee, and they are investing about $1.4 to $2 million in that project to bring in their headquarters, brewing, and distribution operations. But the staff has been turning its attention to the rest of the property, and we have a tentative agreement with Nair to acquire and reposition this. And there are opportunities for additional monies from outside the city, including the possibility of a grant that would help us to promote a minority business development component to that. That is not certain that grant will come through. Nonetheless, there is a shortfall in financing that would require our participation. And so we've been asked to provide a redevelopment grant to help with the acquiring of this property by Nair. And Paul, if you want to give the particulars of that, I'll let you do that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilor Herby. The project proposed put forth by Nair is actually a pretty ambitious project. It would invest approximately $1 million to acquire the property and another $1.1 million, and these are very conservative in terms of the investment, to actually redevelop and reposition the property. We actually anticipate that Nair's investment could very well be twice that, if not 3 times that. But for the purposes of the grant application and our redevelopment incentive application, they're committing to the $2.1 million project price tag at this point. If you combine that with the Kid Coffee project, we're looking at a $3.5 million renovation minimum of Promenade Shopping Center. What we anticipate is that the Nair project would involve a repositioning of the center that could include, although it's not definite, but it could include some partial demolition of the property, some new construction. They're looking at a variety of uses. Their vision's very much consistent with ours, which is not to maintain this as a Class B or Class C shopping center, but to rather reposition the site as a mixed-use project that could involve some retail and by the Kid Coffee project. And then also some of the existing retail that does work, and then try to reposition the rest of the property as a mixed-use project, primarily professional office and medical office. We're very fortunate to have Dan Nair and Nair Properties as a partner on this project. And Councilor Hervey referenced the Jobs Ohio grant that we are pursuing. I think some of you may be familiar with that. It's under the Vibrant Communities program that Jobs Ohio has put forth. I believe Councilor Moore had actually brought this to our attention. This is a great opportunity for us to secure dollars to add a component to this project that we feel is sorely missing. And what we are looking to do is to add a minority business development and entrepreneurial center. This would build upon Councilor Clark's efforts to work with Mortar and some of the other groups in town to try to bring minority business development programming to our community. We wouldn't be looking to necessarily create community, but create that programming. However, we would be looking to create a community center for that programming. So a physical facility where we could connect entrepreneurs, minority business owners, small business people in this area with existing programming that's already going on. So rather than our people having to travel to the incubator in Norwood or to the properties in Uptown, they could actually attend classes, attend programming, access those facilities here in Forest Park. The nice thing about this project is Waycross Community Media has agreed to partner with us to help us do the technical component of it, the communications component of it. So we've got a fairly strong application with Jobs Ohio. Now, as you can imagine, any statewide project, there's dozens of projects, all worthwhile throughout the entire state, looking for a relatively small pool of money. However, we feel we've got a very strong application for that project. The project we're talking about tonight and the city's redevelopment incentive is not dependent upon the state money. If we move forward with Nair, the redevelopment of Promenade Shopping Center will occur irregardless of whether or not we receive the state money. The state money is specifically geared towards helping us put together that minority business development center that we hope is a part of this project.
Okay, in the last, 3 minutes, I'm going to ask, I see Chief Jones is here and Councilwoman Clark. We have an item below the line, emergency operations plan update, to give us a brief, to speak briefly about that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Councilor Clark. This emergency operation plan is just a renewal or an update from the 2006 plan that was adopted back in, I think it was October of 2006. So it's just an update. It's a streamlined plan that the Emergency Management Agency of Hamilton County wants all the communities to follow the same plan. And so that's all we did. We updated the plan, and it's something that it's common throughout the communities in Hamilton County.
Hey, Councilwoman Clark, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't, only for the purposes of kind of the general public. I'll just go into a little bit more detail because they may not be, quite be aware of what this means and how we're able to access and kind of reach across municipalities for emergency services. So I'll just be kind of highlighting those elements, but it's really great. I've read through the entire thing. Everything's good with it.
Okay, we have two other items below the line, both of those being financial items. One is the 2020 budget amendment and the other is the 2021 salary resolution. Anything on those from Ms. Robinson or Serby?
Just for the general knowledge of the public, those are our normal housekeeping items at the end of the year. The 2020 budget just cleans up a lot of our budget supplements, whether they're reductions or additions that we use to balance and tell the county how we finally ended up for the year. And then the salary ordinance authorizes us to pay our employees for the upcoming year.
Okay. Anything else from anybody else for the good of the order?
I just have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I know we have an ordinance about solicitation and all that stuff like that. So when I look in my box at work at the city, then I get a letter from a Seventh-day Adventist, from a Jehovah's Witness.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be some kind of separation there.
Yeah, the difference is the letter that you got, and probably everybody else did, was mailed through the mail. Should have been a postage on it. We can't do anything to divert the mail. It was mailed to you, so we, from the city standpoint, we have to put it. It has to be delivered. It's not like those people who go door to door or that kind of solicitation.
Okay, so if I want to stop, then I will have to get in touch with them, asking them not to send me any more.
Right.
Okay.
Because it was if yours was like mine, it was personally addressed to you.
Yeah, I know it couldn't be diverted. I just want to know there is a separation between what religion and but religion.
Actually, it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a religious organization. It has to do with the fact that it was sent through the United States mail. Well, I mean, it could have been, non-religious, but if it comes through the mail, we have, the city would have no option but to make sure that it got delivered.
I get that. That's what I was trying to get over, but okay.
I do want to make a comment. Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah.
My comment is we do have to acknowledge that they're our faith-based community. And so we are grateful that that particular resident reached out to us because we partner with other faith-based communities. And so we just have to be mindful of that.
I get that, but they didn't reach out to us that we're going to help the community. They're telling me about what my God is going to do or their God is going to do. I'm not interested in that. If they reached out to me and say, can you come and help us feed the poor, do this, I'm all in. I get that. But to try and tell me that I'm not going to go to heaven. If I don't believe in what they believe in, I'm not on that.
Yeah.
Well,
But if you read the bottom of it, it does indicate that that person would like to tell us about the activities that are going on in their particular organization or their church. So we just be mindful that, we do have different types of faith-based organizations in our community, and we need to tap into them and make sure that they are connected and engaged in our community.
well, what I will do is I will respond to them as I do any other letters that I get. I can't guarantee that they or anybody else will always be happy with what my response is, but I'll thank them for informing us of what their activities are and the fact that, and let them know that each of the people on council who they mail it to was in receipt of it, which is pretty much what I would do with what I do with any that I get of that nature. So I will respond for all of us. Okay, and my clock says 7:02, so we will close out the work session. Call to order. The City of Forest Park City Council meeting number 1365, December 7, 2020. First item on the agenda obviously is the roll call, and I'm going to ask that Councilwoman Clark lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
United
States
States of America and to the
Republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty.
justice for all.
Wow. Thank you very much.
It's been a minute since I've been in the classroom.
So then we will move to having the clerk to call the roll, please.
Brown.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Purdy.
Here.
Holt.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Sylvester.
Here.
The record show that all council members are present and accounted for. Next item on the agenda is the minutes. You would have received copies of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none or seeing none, the next item would be presentations. There are no presentations for this evening. I would just make mention of the fact that all of the 4 people who were chosen by the ad hoc committee for Hall of Fame have received their certificates and their plaque. Thanks. Thank you, Sally, for taking care of that for us.
You're welcome.
Next item on the agenda is communications from the public. Mr. Lewandowski or Mr. Jones, do we have anybody that had contacted anybody?
I have not received any communications from the public.
Yeah, we did not receive any.
Okay, very good. Move to item number 5, reports of standing committees. The first of those being Community Development Committee, Councilwoman Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do not have a report at this time, but I just want to say congratulations to Kroger's for their grand opening. And it was just exciting to greet the customers as they came in. Kroger's has been a wonderful partner to us, especially for We Thrive. We partner with them for Know Your Numbers, and they have been so gracious to open up their store for us to come in, the fire department, police department, to come in to provide services to our residents. And so best of luck to them. And then also, Paul, I just want to thank you for all your hard work. We are moving and progressing, and and your staff, because, we want great things for the city of Forest Park. And it's just exciting to see all the new development coming into our community, new homes, new businesses. And so, great job. I just wanted to acknowledge that. And then also, I also want to acknowledge Annette Dean, who sent me the information for the Vibrant Community. So I did want to give her credit that she is always looking for grants for our senior population. And so I did want to make sure that she received acknowledgement of seeking out that grant information. And so that completes my report.
Any questions for Councilwoman Moore? No one, Councilwoman Moore. I don't have any items on the agenda for you for the work session. Do you have anything to add?
Yes, can we look at vaping establishments in the community? And if there's a ordinance or ordinance on the number we can have?
I can tell you, I know that there's no ordinance in terms of the number, but what I would suggest you do is probably if you're talking about in terms of legalities and that kind of thing, let's refer that to Law Committee and Mr. Wyckoff.
Okay, thank you.
Sally, if you would, when does the winter break start?
After the next meeting, which I believe is starts on the 22nd.
22nd, okay.
22nd.
Okay, thank you. I didn't have that right in front of me. The next committee report would be Human Resources Committee, Councilwoman Holt.
I did not have a report on human resource, but the beautification committee is revving up for the holiday decoration, but there's still some details that needs to be worked out on that. With that will conclude my report. Thank you.
Any questions for Councilwoman Holt? Don't have any items on the agenda for you. Do you have any to add?
No, I do not. Thank you.
I will say, Councilwoman Holt, at least initially up to now, I believe I am seeing more residences with declaration than I've seen in the past. I'm hoping that's a good sign, and I'm hoping that maybe it has to do with the fact that people who in the past have not been able to get out and do it because of work, because the pandemic is now set in, that gives them time, and people are putting that time to use. But
that's what we were thinking too. That, but the dilemma is because we can't get in the van, all of us together, and drive around and judge. That's what we're working on, how we're gonna do the judging of the houses that are decorated.
Could we ask them to send their pictures in?
Well, sending in a picture was the first thought, but I don't know if we want to do that. So we're asking, then it was suggested that we ask everybody that wanted to be judged is to send in their names, and then we would just judge those houses. Whereas in the past, we had people that wanted to be judged, or we would just drive around and looked at the houses, and then we judged them based on, the decoration, and gave them different, it was categories. So we don't know if we want to deal with all of the categories that we've done in the past. So if they send in their names to be judged, then we're going to split. Maybe I'll take a couple of streets, somebody else, so we won't have to do any. We want to keep in mind social distance. So that's what we're thinking about, doing it like that.
Thank you. Next committee, Law Committee, Mr. Brown.
I do not have any items on the agenda or anything to add at this time.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Brown? Hearing none, we will move next to Public Improvement and Facilities, Mr. Sylvester.
Mr. Mayor, I don't, excuse me, I don't have a public improvement report, but I would like to state that I received a communication from a couple of residents that has some concern about the passing of cars through the stop sign at Holderness and Hanover that they witnessed multiple times in the early mornings of the hour. So I was gonna get more of a statement and formalize it and send it into the city manager and to see if we could acknowledge the comments that came in and take some action. See if there's people passing through and at high rate of speed, and those were the comments that I received. So that's not a reference to the public improvement, but a statement in reference to a report.
Okay, yeah, do that, send that information in, and I would suggest also that in sending it in, you might, if you can, find out from them what times of day it's talking about, because the more we can narrow it down, the better off we can
Yeah, it was stated that it's earlier morning hours between like 6:30 and 7:45 in that area time. So yeah, I'll detail it and communicate it. So I just want to get acknowledged on the subject.
Thank you, sir. I have no items on the agenda for you for the work session. Do you have any to add?
No, sir.
Next committee is Public Safety, Councilwoman Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last Friday, the Public Safety Committee met. Chief Arns, Lieutenant Pope, and another member of the police force was there. Don't have that name on here, I apologize. But we had a few things that we were following up on since our last meeting, which was a few months back. One of those was our status with CALIA. So CALIA is the international accreditation entity for police departments. So it looks at your processes, procedures, how things are operating. And then what they do is they come in to actually verify that those things are as they say. And so it keeps us accountable and keeps our officers safe, as well as the citizens we protect. So we are nearing the end of that process. The assessment was completed last Tuesday at the department, and so that looks good. We hope that that will pass with flying colors, and so we only have a few months left. A few months left on that, so we should see something in at least second quarter about 2021. Okay. Secondly, we were also following up on the need for body cams. So our officers at this time, of course, don't have body cams. Doesn't mean they don't want them. It's just that it is a financial, it's a financial challenge. So not only are you paying for the cameras, but you're also paying for the storage of all that data. And so that is outside of the funds that we have available. Thankfully, our officers, they have actually applied twice for body cam funding. And unfortunately, twice we've not yet received it. So we all know that there's, it looks like there's a, there's going to be a mandate, of course, from the state with these body cams. And of course, it is going to be unfunded. So we definitely have to come up, try to find this money, and they're doing a good job of that. So that's where we are on that. And then the other reason I had called the meeting was to investigate some of our emergency calls. As you all well know, the mental health issues are not, they're not on the decline. Unfortunately, they're on the rise. And so who we partner with and how we're getting assistance with those calls, of course, can mean the difference between life and death. And so good thing to know is our officers informed me that they have what's called a CIT, which is a crisis intervention training that they take. So initially it's 40 hours, and then there's monthly training that goes on for all of our officers, which I believe is a really good thing, and making sure that they're aware and understanding the different challenges that our mental health community is facing, and how they're going to respond, how they can de-escalate those situations. One thing that we were looking for a very strong partnership with Women Helping Women. Unfortunately, they did not get approved for their grant. So what Women Helping Women does is they actually apply for a grant that helps, of course, people in a lot of domestic situations and otherwise that have to do with health and mental health and social services. And so then they partner with police forces and other entities so that we can so that when those calls are made and then we respond, we have that person or that entity that can then provide them the resources needed immediately. unfortunately, that grant did not, they didn't get the grant. And so we don't have that partnership. But what they'll do is they, the number one thing they do is they take those individuals to up to the hospital there in Fairfield. And then, you know, they also will call medical services. And of course, our fire department EMTs are there at the ready. So I think that in the future we can, we'll be able to help build and strengthen those community partnerships and social work and psychiatry and things like that. So those things are more on hand. And then lastly, so with the assessment, I apologize, with the CALIA application, there's also something that our officers have submitted. They've submitted a presentation, which was a recruitment plan in terms of having, or with the goal of trying to recruit minorities and women to our police force, as that's been just a very difficult thing we've experienced in the past and currently. So they did present that plan, and so that looks to be more robust, and moving into 2021, we will see if we can enhance that even further so that we can get those numbers up. That would be all I have on that. I too would just like to say Kroger's grand opening was wonderful. I remember when Paul Booth and I were talking when we were in economic development 2 years ago. We're like, what is going on? Everyone around us is getting a new Kroger. And so we really appreciate Director Paul Brim and his team for continuing that conversation so that Phillips Edison felt really comfortable and confident in expanding our Kroger. They pushed it out a little bit, and then of course doing some revitalization to it. So we are very appreciative and very thankful for all the frontline workers there.
Any questions for Councilwoman Clark? Hearing none, Councilwoman Clark, I have no items on the agenda for you for the next work session. Do you have anything to add?
I do not, thank you.
Just as an aside, I did participate in the assessment last Monday, and it went extremely well. I think the two gentlemen, I believe one from Olivet, Missouri, and the other one was from, I believe, New Hampshire. I'm not sure. I think they were very impressed with where our police department is, especially in relationship to where some others are. But the one thing that almost all police departments have in common right now is recruitment. The sheer numbers of people who are applying for jobs as police officers has hit bottom. And you add to that the fact that the people who are still applying are not, especially females are not applying as much, and neither are a minority group men. So it's a very competitive recruiting climate, and I know that we have continued to do what the best we can along that line. So I'm as usual, I'm very proud of where our police department is, and I'm certain that when all is said and done, it's gonna show that we're gonna score extremely high for our police department. And so that's I will say I know that I don't know what the glitch was, but I know Chief Jones of the fire department tried to get into the conference and was not able to, for whatever reason, to get on, and neither was I. Well, for me, it's a matter of technology. I don't do very well at that, but he wasn't able to
Didn't come up.
So, but at any rate, thank you for having that meeting. So we will move next to the next committee, Ways and Means. Councilman Herbie.
Yes, couple things. First of all, we had a Ways and Means Committee meeting on November 23rd. The topic was the budget, which we are going to act on this evening. The second thing is we're coming into the holidays, and we have some post-holiday recycling opportunities. The first, of course, is our annual recycling of Christmas trees. So please strip as much as you can from them. You can drop them off at the Kemper Meadow Park anytime from December 26th through January 10th. The second opportunity is that you can recycle holiday lights. This applies specifically to string lights only, and they're being accepted in various Hamilton County parks. You should bring them in loose, not in boxes. The closest to us, of course, are at Winton Woods and also the Glenwood Gardens, but it's also being recycled at Farbach Warner Nature Preserve and Miami Whitewater, Sharon Woods, and Woodland Mound. If you have light projectors or light inflatables, those can be recycled at Cohen Recycling Center, and unfortunately I do not have an address for that. And that would conclude my report.
Any questions for Councilwoman Herbie? I have no items on the agenda for you. Do you have any to add?
No, sir.
Next report is in intergovernmental relations and communications. I have no report there. I'll answer any questions if there are any. And hearing none, we will move to item number 6, the mayor's report. Couple of things, just announcements. In today's news conference, the governor announced that the curfew was being extended. It was due to end, I believe, tomorrow, I believe it was, or coming up soon, but he was extended it indefinitely. His statement was that he feels that the numbers have flattened out some in terms of the number of cases or numbers across the board, but just the curfew and the wearing of the mask obviously is not all that's needed. So, so that has been extended. I too would like to thank Paul and Kroger for having us over as part of the grand reopening. I don't know if you've all been in there lately, but it looks very, very differently. It's up to date. You might have a little problem finding some things initially. Some things have been moved around, but be patient and you will find them. And additionally, the number of items, of various items have increased. So there are some things there that they did not have there before. So again, I want to thank Kroger for partnering with us. And as I mentioned there, for those of you who have been around long enough, you can remember when the Kroger was across the street in the promenade, and they've now moved to the current location. And I'm hoping that several years from now, when they remodel again, the city will be there for that as well. Also, I would like to I'd like to give a special thank you to some of our first responders. You know, our people don't only respond to their particular jobs, but in any situation where there is need for help, they do. What I'm speaking of specifically is on on Saturday afternoon, I was driving along Winton Road. Unfortunately, hopefully, I think it was an accident, maybe not, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say I hope it was an accident. At least what would have filled 2 very, very large trash bags was thrown along Winton Road for a distance of at least 40 to 50 yards. The entire contents of these bags. So I was able to get the police to come over and direct traffic, stop traffic, and to make sure that it was safe for that to be picked up. So I want to specifically thank those people who assisted me in getting that done. And that would have been Sergeant Jackie Dreyer of the police department, along with officers Mike Robb and Mike Dixon, as well as Captain Jason Geiger from the fire department. Because it was a weekend, late Saturday afternoon, obviously our public works people were not around and not available to do that. And we want our city to look good all the time at any time. So with their help, we were able to get that taken care of. And like I said, I'm going to give whoever did that the benefit of the doubt and say it was an accident. But whether it was or not, I want to specifically thank those people for their assistance in helping to keep Forest Park clean and beautiful. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. And also, I want to thank both Andy and Paul, who also attended the opening at Kroger. It was, as I said before, it was quite an event, and it's always good to have representatives of the council as well as staff on hand for those events. I know it's appreciated by the customers. It was appreciated by the business. And I want to thank my fellow council members who were able to attend, even though it was 6:30 in the morning. I want to thank you all for getting up and getting over there and doing that. That would end my report. I'll answer any questions if there are any. Seeing none, we will move next to item 7, the city manager's report, and that would be either Andy or Mr. Jones or both.
No, I'll talk. So first off, I want to talk about the municipal building is officially closed to the public again. This is due to increase in COVID cases, and just unfortunate that we have to do it, but we are still open for business, just not open for business to see the public, if that makes any sense. We're still a phone call away, everything like that. So, and our staff is on a work from remote as much as they can, at least the municipal building staff. Police and fire obviously can't really work remote, but that's how, so a lot of our staff, there's not a whole lot in the building right now, just so everybody knows that. So we'll work through this, we'll get through it. We're going to do this through at least the end of the year, maybe middle of January, and then recess and go from there. And then other things on my note, like we've talked about in the work session, but Paul is here to discuss the transformative economic development plan at Promenade Shopping Center. So if you have any questions on that, but I think it's going to be a wonderful thing, and that's much needed in this community. So I think it'll be great to see coming forward. And then I wanted to discuss a little bit of the budget. This is more Harlita's side of things, but I also, before I get to that, I wanted to basically take this time to congratulate all of our employees and our staff and volunteers. And just, it's been a trying year for all of us, and I think we've all adapted well, and staff has responded well. So I want to just give a congratulations to the entire staff. And not to just single out finance, because they've been, this budget is a culmination of at least 6 months worth of work. So finance department has been putting a lot of work into this, and their workloads has even expanded because of all the different federal funding we've gotten and things like that. It's a good thing, but somebody's got to be there to account for all that. So I just want to say a huge thank to them. And then, the 2021 budget, where we mentioned before, the expenditures were built in a manner to maintain all current spending levels with no large increases over the prior year, including capital. So we're just trying to do everything we can and remain cautious with our funds until we receive, and we have other things in the works for some of the capital stuff, if we can get some grant funding and whatnot throughout the year. So we're just kind of saying, hang on and see what happens there. As for the personnel costs for the budget, this budget is built in accordance with all union contracts. For non-union employees, we are retaining all staff, pay structures, and benefits. Once again, our employees have been doing a great job adapting to all these items in these trying times, and we want to maintain all those benefits. We are budgeting a 2% increase for all non-union employees, which is in accordance with a CPI over the last 5 years. Like if you took a 5-year average and kind of smoothed it out, we're right there at the 2%. So we're not going over or beyond anything. And then, as mentioned before, we are maintaining our current benefits, which include healthcare, HSA contribution levels, and our deferred comp. And then COVID, on the COVID side of things, we're continuing to expend COVID funds in a way that is most beneficial to the city. Many of these expenses include long overdue renovations, including tax, finance, police, community development. These improvements will help social distancing throughout the remainder of the pandemic and the years into the future. So that is about where I'm at. Don, did you have anything to add to any of that?
No, I really don't have anything to add. Thanks, Andy. I will say, reiterate exactly what Andy said about the staff. The staff has been doing a tremendous job. A lot of stress. Of course, everyone in this country is under a lot of stress, but our staff they've been charged with doing a lot of work that is not really theirs, and no one has batted an eye if they've had to do work that they normally didn't do. And they're just like the mayor said, you bring in the folks that care about the city and they do the job, even though it may not be specifically their job. Their job is to make this city work and to make this community a good place to live. And we've just got a great, cooperative, and well-trained and well-run group of people, and we couldn't be prouder of them.
That concludes our report.
Any questions for city manager or the assistant? Hearing none, we'll move now to item number 8, other reports. First of those being Law Director, Mr. Wyckoff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing specific to report on tonight, but would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for the city attorney? Hearing none, thank you, sir. Next report is Clerk of Council, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to first apologize in advance because there's something flying around in my house, and if it comes towards me, you might see me fanning a little bit, but I'm okay. And then the other thing is resolution number 45-2020 was posted as required. And that concludes my report.
Questions for Clerk of Council? Hearing none, we now move to item number 9, unfinished business and general orders. There's a motion. Councilman Murphy. Yes.
Yes, I would move to suspend the rules requiring the reading in full on 2 separate occasions and read for the first time by title only ordinance number 25-2020, and 26-2020.
It should be 25-2020, not 23.
I corrected myself.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you came back and said 2023. Okay.
Okay. I need a second.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we suspend the rules requiring the reading in full on 2 separate days and read for the second time by title only ordinances number 25-2020 and 26-2020. Is there any discussion?
Just posted as required.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the motion to suspend?
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester.
Yes.
The motion to suspend the rules passes 7-0. First item on the unfinished business, ordinance number 25-2020. Would the clerk please read that ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 25-2020. An ordinance appointing John R. Wyckoff, attorney at law, as solicitor, law director, and prosecutor, and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the provision of legal services.
Is there a motion? I'll make a motion from the chair that we adopt ordinance number 25-2020.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 25-2020. Any discussion? Very briefly, this is a contract for a law director, solicitor, and prosecutor. And to me, it's pretty much a no-brainer. So I would urge everybody to vote in favor of ordinance 25-2020. Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk then please call the roll on ordinance 25-2020?
Clark,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ordinance 25-2020 passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item B, ordinance number 26-2020. Would the clerk please read that ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 26-2020. An ordinance appointing Darren E. Nye, attorney at law, as public defender and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for the provision of legal services.
Again, the chair would move the adoption of ordinance numbers 26-2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 26-2020. Any discussion from the chair? I would say this is a contract to employ a public defender. I'm sure that everybody knows that there are situations where people cannot afford their own attorney. We are required to make sure that anyone who requests one would be assigned to or given a public defender to represent them. This is what this is all about, and I would urge everyone to support the passage of 26-2020. Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk then call the roll on ordinance 26-2020?
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark. Clark.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item number 10, new business. Is there a
I'll
motion?
read that.
Yes.
I would move to suspend the rules requiring the reading in full on 2 separate days and read by title only ordinances number 27-2020 and 28-2020.
Second.
Been moved and second that would suspend the rules requiring the reading in full on 2 separate days and read by title only ordinances 27 and 28-2020. Is there any discussion?
Just posted as required.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the motion to suspend?
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Herbie.
Yes.
Motion to suspend passes 7-0. First item on the new business, item A, ordinance 27-2020. Would the clerk please read that ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 27-2020, making appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Forest Park, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021.
Is there a motion, Councilman Murray?
Yes, I would move adoption of ordinance number 27-2020.
Second.
Moved and second that we adopt ordinance 27-2020. Is there any discussion?
Just very briefly, we are required by Ohio Revised Code to pass an appropriation measure by the end of the year for next year. This is the permanent appropriation measure for the year ending 2021. At the beginning of the meeting, during the city manager's report, Assistant Manager Andy Lewandowski addressed a number of the issues here. Generally, there are no additions and no cuts, and I will refer to the specifics he talked about and urge adoption of this measure.
Further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on ordinance 27-2020?
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Ordinance 27-2020 passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is on the new business is item B, ordinance number 28-2020. Would the clerk please read that ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 28-2020, amending annual appropriation ordinance 24-2020.
There a motion, Councilman Murphy?
I would move adoption of ordinance number 28-2020.
Second.
Moved in second that we adopt ordinance 28-2020. Is there any discussion?
Yes, this is our kind of final amendment to the current appropriations ordinance dealing with unexpected things that have arisen over the course of the last few weeks. And the highlights would include an appropriations of $54,000 for a reassignment of an office associate 2 from the city manager's department to the building department, and an allocation of a portion of the salary and benefits to the building department. A $65,000 amount for public works. The assistant public works director during the course of the year was promoted to public works director, which resulted in a change to the allocation of his pay, and 40% was directed to the general fund after it had been budgeted to the stormwater utility fund. 44,000 was for the information services intern who was promoted to full-time status over the summer. $164,677 was a pass-through amount for the Cincinnati Mall tax incentive financing arrangement. And 12,000 was for debt services fund for a new lease schedules being projected at the time of the passing of the 2020 appropriations, and I would urge adoption of the resolution, of the ordinance, excuse me.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Moore,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes,
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Ordinance 28-2020 passes 7-0. The next item is a motion.
I'll
yeah,
do it.
Councilwoman Holt, motion.
I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules requiring the reading in full and read resolutions number 46-2020 by title only.
second,
It's been moved and second that we suspend the rules requiring reading in full and read resolution 46-2020 by title only. Any discussion?
Only that this resolution was posted 6 days prior to this meeting.
Any further discussion? Hearing
None.
none, would the clerk please call the roll on the motion?
Sylvester,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Herbie,
yes,
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
The motion passes 7-0. Next item is item C, resolution 46-2020. Would the clerk please read this resolution by title only?
Resolution number 46-2020, amending the resolution setting rates of pay for civil and non-civil service employees.
Any discussion? Yes, Councilwoman Irvin.
well, I have to make the motion to pass
Please.
resolution number 46-2020.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we adopt resolution 46-2020. Is there any discussion?
Yes, this is always a companion resolution that we have to do every year when we adopt our budget. And that's to pass a resolution amending the rates for our salaries. And as was mentioned, this is in line with our contractual arrangements with our unions. And we mirror that for the non-union members as well. So I would urge adoption of this resolution.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes,
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester.
Yes.
Resolution 46-2020 passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item D, resolution 47-2020. Would the clerk please read this resolution in full?
Resolution number 47-2020. A resolution adopting an emergency operations plan for the city of Forest Park. Whereas by passage of resolution number 27-2005 on June 20th, 2005, the Council of the City of Forest Park adopted the National Incident Management System, NIMS, as directed by Homeland Security Presidential Directive, HSPD-5. Management of Domestic Incidents issued on February 28, 2003. And whereas as part of said directive, the Forest Park Fire Department has revised the Emergency Operations Plan, EOP, dated November 2020. And whereas in the best interest of the City of Forest Park to adopt the Emergency Operations Plan, EOP, dated November 2020, as revised by the Forest Park Fire Department by reference in its entirety. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Forest Park, Ohio, Section 1, that the Emergency Operations Plan, EOP, dated November 2020, as revised and recommended by the Forest Park Fire Department, save and accept such portions as are hereinafter deleted, modified, or amended, is hereby adopted by the Council of the City of Forest Park by reference in its entirety. Section 2, this resolution shall be in full force and take effect from and after its passage.
Is there a motion, Councilwoman Clark?
Yes, there is. I move that we adopt Resolution 47-2020, the Emergency Operations Plan for the city as an update.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second that we adopt resolution 47-2020. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Clark.
No, thank you. Just briefly. So what this does, this is an emergency operations plan. As already stated, this is an update from the 2016 plan that's been in place. This addresses our planned responses to extraordinary emergency situations. So we're talking about things like natural disasters, technological emergencies, and even terrorist attacks. What this allows us to do is to go into a very easy partnerships, and pull on those partnerships that are, intergovernmental and outside of the city, so that we can maintain our infrastructure, we can continue with quality of life, et cetera, here in our city. This also ensures protection of health, safety, and property of the public and aiding and recovery operations for Forest Park residents. So I strongly urge adoption of this resolution.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on resolution 47-2020?
Clark?
Yes.
Herbie?
Yes.
Holt?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Sylvester?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Resolution 47-2020 passes 7-0. The next item is item E, resolution number 48-2020. Would the clerk please read this resolution in full?
Resolution number 48-2020. A resolution consenting to the execution of a redevelopment incentive agreement between Nair Properties and the City of Forest Park, Ohio, to facilitate a project at the Promenade Shopping Center. Whereas Nair Properties will invest approximately $2,100,000 on the purchase, renovation, and repositioning of the subject property. And whereas the City of Forest Park has identified the redevelopment of underperforming commercial properties as a priority of its redevelopment campaign. And whereas Nair Properties has proposed a project that would transform the Promenade Shopping Center from an underperforming retail property into a successful mixed-use development. And whereas Nair Properties is a recognized leader in the development industry, with the experience and expertise needed to complete a project of this complexity. And whereas a redevelopment incentive is required to address a project gap in the project financing. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Forest Park, Ohio. Section 1, that the Council of the City of Forest Park hereby gives its consent for the city manager to enter into a redevelopment incentive agreement with Nair Properties to complete a redevelopment project of the Promenade Shopping Center located at the corner of West Kemper Road and Winton Road. In return for the company's $2.1 million investment to acquire and redevelop the property in a manner consistent with the goals of our community's strategic plan, the City of Forest Park will provide Nair Properties with a $250,000 redevelopment grant to be paid in 3 installments, $150,000 at closing, $75,000 once a development plan for the subject property has been approved by city staff, and $25,000 at the beginning of construction or renovation. Section 2, that this resolution shall be in full force and take effect from and after the earliest date allowed by law.
Is there a motion? Yes.
I would move adoption of resolution number 48-2020.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we adopt resolution 48-2020. Is there any discussion?
The reading of the resolution self-explanatory.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on resolution 48-2020?
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Resolution 48-2020 passes 7-0. Item F, ordinance number 29-2020. Would the clerk please read this ordinance in full?
Ordinance number 29-2020. An ordinance approving a zone change for 6.86 acres located at 1876 Waycross Road from 0 office to SPA-3 special planning area number 3, amending the zoning map and declaring an emergency. Whereas ordinance number 04-2000 approved the rezoning of 123-acre parcel of a 123-acre parcel of land located north of Waycross Road and west of Mill Road, owned by the Union Central, now Emeritus Life Insurance Company, from 0 office to SPA-3 special planning area number 3. And whereas on August 8th, 2000, the Planning Commission approved the Caroline Business Park subdivision record plat and the Caroline Business Park Development Plan covering the same 120-acre tract of land. And whereas Union Central reserved approximately 62 acres of property, the legacy parcel, located adjacent to the Caroline Business Park, but not included in it. And whereas the legacy parcel is zoned 0 for O for office use, which is the zoning designation it has carried since the original Forest Park zoning code was adopted in 1964. And whereas in 2013 and in preparation of the redevelopment of the Union Central Emeritus property, a 3.5 area tract of land was detached from the Caroline Business Park and consolidated with the legacy parcel, enlarging the legacy parcel in its current size of 66 acres. And whereas the boundary between O and SPA-3 districts allowed the property lines prior to 2013, but due to an oversight, the zoning boundary was not adjusted when the consolidation plat was approved. And whereas there are 2 separate office buildings situated on the legacy parcel known as 1876 Waycross and 1880 Waycross. And whereas Emeritus intends to split and then consolidate parcels for both the legacy parcel zone O and from lot 4 of the Caroline Business Park subdivision zone SPA-3. in order to create a 17-acre property surrounding the 1876 Waycross office building, the majority of which is currently zoned SPA 3-3. And whereas in order for the zoning boundary to conform to the new property lines as prescribed in section 150-04 of the zoning code, 6.86 acres of land currently zoned O will need to be changed to SPA-3. And whereas after careful consideration of this zone change and map amendment, the Planning Commission, by a vote of 7-0 cast on November 10th, 2020, recommended that the City Council adopt the zone change and map amendment. And whereas upon providing notification as required by law, the Council of the City of Forest Park held a public hearing on November 23rd, 2020. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Forest Park, Ohio. Section 1, that 6.86 acres of land located at 1876 Waycross Road, as more fully described in the property description and map labeled Exhibit A, attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, be rezoned from O office to SPA-3, special planning area number 3, and that the official zoning map be amended consistent with the foregoing. Section 2, that council hereby declares this ordinance to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, and welfare of the City of Forest Park, Ohio, for the reason that the immediate approval of rezoning is necessary so as to ensure the smooth transition of tenants at 1876 Waycross Road, as well as retain and create employment opportunities. Section 3, that this ordinance shall be in full force and take effect from and after its passage.
Is there a motion, Councilwoman Moore?
Yes, thank you. I move to adopt ordinance number 29-2020.
Second.
And moved and second that we adopt ordinance 29-2020. Is there any discussion, Councilwoman Moore?
Yes, this is just essentially a housekeeping item, and in order to maintain a good zoning practices, so I urge adoption of this ordinance.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll of ordinance number 29-2020?
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Herbie.
Yes.
Ordinance 29-2020 passes 7-0. And next item on the agenda is a motion, Councilwoman Holt.
I would like to make a motion to convene an executive session to review the performance evaluation of the city manager and law director.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we convene an executive session to review the performance evaluation for the city manager and the law director. Is there any discussion?
No, not now.
Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the motion to convene an executive session?
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. So we're going to convene an executive session. There will be no official business that will be taking place and no voting in the executive session. When that session is over, we will adjourn the executive session and reconvene into the regular council meeting. It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the executive session and reconvene in the regular meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, let it be known by the sign of voting aye.
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 Opposed? All right, so now we're back into the regular council meeting. Councilwoman Hope, you're on.
Okay, because there was a glitch in the forms getting back to me timely, or all of the forms getting back to me, we're going to put this off until either 12/21 or the first council meeting in January. The mayor is going to speak with Sally to find out what date is better for her. Would it be the 21st or will it be 2021 January? So I apologize to you, John and Don, for holding you on, and couldn't get this completed tonight.
It's all right.
Okay, Sally, I got to come in tomorrow and sign these things anyways, sign what we did tonight. So you just let me know, give me a call sometime tomorrow, Sally, and we will work this out as to whether this is going to be redone on the 21st or in January.
Okay.
And is there any other business to come before the body? Anything at all? Any other business to come before the body? Don, I'm glad to see you, and I hope you're doing better, and just stay away until you're well.
Thank you, Mayor. I am I'm fighting the good fight and do the best we can. But good to see all of you again.
Take
You
some
too.
zinc.
I do take a lot of
Yeah.
And for
tea.
now,
Remember-
just as a note, in case you all didn't see it or missed it, the Dr. I can't never pronounce his name. Is it Fauci?
Dr. Fauci.
Yeah. He is going to be continuing in the incoming administration. But more than that, he said today that we should all brace ourselves because the period beginning after Christmas through probably the third week of January would be the most dangerous periods of this virus that we've had thus far because of activities during the Christmas holidays. So as he said, a word to the wise, whatever it is that you have planned for the Christmas, New Year's holidays, make sure you're doing it by yourself, only with those people who are in your immediate households. Take no chances because according to him, this is going to be the worst of it. And with that, good night to you all. Thank you all for tuning in and stay safe.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.